midnight calling, holding tight to this guitar. Can't stop thinking about all the things you did to me, trying to find a melody that doesn't sound like misery. Hurt, hurt, it's only a feeling. Hurt, hurt, the pain can start the healing in my soul. Such a hard four-letter word. No one deserves this kind of hurt. When I needed someone, you were never there. You had to star in your own show. You didn't care about what I wanted, but I'm finally letting go of the hurt, hurt, it's only a feeling. Hurt, hurt, the pain can start the healing in my soul. Such a hard four-letter word. No one deserves this kind of hurt. Since the day I said goodbye, I'm better off without you. Sometimes the truth can hurt, hurt, hurt. The pain can start the healing in my soul. Such a hard four-letter word. No one deserves this kind of hurt.
Hurt. That's the sound of our next guest, Sabrina Fallah. Sabrina, come on in here and say hello.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, you can say hi. That's cool, too.
Hi.
Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here with us today. And thank you for dropping by. We want to get to know you. So if you would, please tell us a little bit about Sabrina Fallah, where you came from, how you got to where you are today.
Okay. So I'm from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I'm a solo rock artist. I got into rock by hearing American Idiot album by Green Day. That led me into wanting to do the rock genre. But before that, I was singing other styles of music until I heard that record that got me more into that field. I played the piano when I was 10 years old, and then around 15, 16, I grabbed the guitar, and I stayed with that because it was easier to carry around.
Yes,
and I love,
yeah.
And then I love performing, and sometimes it's hard to get me off the stage. So,
well, that's the sign of a true performer. Yes, that you want an artist that can stand up there, take it, and come back for more, and the audience can feel that too. And you've been doing this for some time now, and well, as you said, you were originally influenced by Green Day. It's interesting how oftentimes an artist will, we all, most of us anyway, grow up liking some kind of music and getting into it sometime in our formative years, but oftentimes an artist will just be hit by that one artist they hear that turns them on, and the light just comes on. You say, bingo, that's what I want to do. And I'm glad you mentioned that that was what happened to you with the Green Day. Have you ever got to meet them?
Well, I've seen them twice, and I stand for hours to get into the front of the gate because I'm short. So, but I met the bassist.
Oh, great!
And
That's
all
great.
I told him was, but this is the funny part, all I told him was, can you tell Billy that I love him? And this is me very young, right? I'm meeting the basis, and all I want is for him to tell the lead singer that I love him.
Well, you'll definitely have a story to tell them the next time you meet them, and hopefully you get to go to you get backstage, go to a meet and greet, or get to meet them on some terms somewhere along the line. John Bon Jovi, would you like to jump into the conversation here?
Well, yeah, and Sabrina, hopefully maybe someday you'll open for them. Wouldn't that be cool on a tour?
Oh my God, that's a dream.
Well,
follow your dreams.
God.
I've got to tell you, I am ignorant of your music in that the way this show works is that David never plays any of the music for me ahead of time. So the first time I hear an artist's song is when we're on the air and doing the show. So I am listening to your, and not really, knowing that much about you, Sabrina, I'm listening to your song that we just played, Hurt, and I'm thinking, how nice is it that somebody is bringing back an urban folk sound with an emotional story to tell, and which I think is so sadly lacking in a lot of music today. And I got to tell you, I having never heard this song before, that was my impression of it. And then secondly, just impressed at just how sweet your voice is on it. So hats off. You really did a nice job on that.
That's a different side of me. That's when I'm not singing harsh and rasping. That's my softer side. I wanted to show a softer side with that song, because all my other songs are fast and gritty and harsh. This one, they hear the other side of me.
Well, it's a good side. It's a good side to
side.
show. It really is. I mean, because it kind of reminds me a lot of, when I was a kid growing up in the early '60s and listening to Dylan and Joni Mitchell, Pete Seeger, and Tom Rush, and of course, who was it? Was it Merrily Rush? Just Angels in the Morning? Yeah,
Angel in the Morning. Yeah,
Merrily Rush, and just so many talented folk musicians. And so this is the first song of yours that I've ever heard, and I was like, wow, this is refreshing. So well done, my dear. Well done indeed.
Thank you.
And we're going to play the next track we play by her. Has a little bit more edge to it than this one, but I was really struck, John Bon Jovi. I liked the term you came up with, urban folk song. I think that's an excellently descriptive call. I mean, like we were talking earlier, we have to categorize everything, and if you're going to categorize that song, I think that would be an excellent way of categorizing it. An urban folk song. I like it.
Indeed.
And I like your music. I like your sound, Sabrina. You do a lot of personal appearances up there in Canada, correct?
Yes.
What have you got on tap for this year?
You mean like for shows?
Yes. Are you doing some traveling?
I don't know yet. I'm still booking for festivals, and I haven't gotten any official response for the festivals yet. But yeah, I hope to travel, definitely.
Awesome. Where do you get your inspiration for your music? This is a question John often asks, and I'll steal this because he went off in a different direction. Where do you get your inspiration from? What is your muse?
I write about what I go through and what other people go through, and I like to write songs to help people to know that they're not alone. So if I'm going through something and I write about it, I'm hoping somebody else hears it and they've gone through it too. So,
That's a good track.
I also write about not to give up on things and to go for your dreams, which Frontline is about.
Yeah,
exactly.
Those are things that people can easily relate to, which is really good. That's because you want to be able to have that relationship, that interaction. Now, you worked with a with a sort of a friend of ours. I mean, never had the privilege of meeting him, but we have worked with him. We've talked with him on the show, and that's the legendary producer Stuart Epps, who, of course, made Elton John and worked Led Zeppelin and a lot of other artists. How did two questions there.
That's nice.
How did you happen to get connected to Stuart Epps, and how did you like working with him?
Okay, well, working with him, amazing. But how I got to him, well, when I was in college, in the pre-music production program, we had a producer's class. And for that class, the producer would either come into the class or call the class or call via Skype. So one day, Stuart was calling us by Skype. And I didn't know the computer or the laptop at that time was facing me. Mm-hmm. And then he was asking the class who plays an instrument, who sings, who performs, who records, just to see who is doing it, doing those things. And I raised my hand for every single question that he asked. And so he noticed that. He saw me. And then he asked my teacher, who was that girl on the left-hand side? And
right.
I was like, okay, he's pointing at me. And there's 40 people in that class, and I'm being pointed at. So I was and at that time, I was very shy. So I was like, oh, my God, what am I going to do now? I'm being pointed. So that's why I told my teacher it's me. And then he asked me some questions like, when you write your songs, do you follow the songwriting structure or do you do it your own way? Well, at that time, I wasn't following anything. I was just writing music the way I wanted to write it.
Sure.
But now I write more for commercial to get on radio, so I follow the songwriting structure. Mm-hmm. But so then he asked me some more questions, and then at the end of it, he asked my teacher to give me his email because he wanted to talk to me. I forgot to mention. He also asked me if I had a demo of songs.
Yes, definitely.
And I told him I did. I told him, of course I do. Of course.
Sure.
Of rough scratch. Rough stuff. It's not like mastered or anything, just rough. And I told him I did. So when I got
you get a good impression of what you like that way. You get a good impression of what you do. Right. It's not all flowered up, dressed up. He knows what the real you sounds like, where you're coming from. So that's not a bad thing. You got to spend some time working with some writers in Nashville too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I contacted somebody online and we worked something out, and I went to Nashville. And thinking Nashville is a country city, right? No.
Yeah, a lot of people.
They do rock now.
Yes, they do. That's matter of fact, we talked about that on the show here a couple of weeks ago too. The fact that Nashville has quite a rock music base down there too. Yeah. It's not all country. Yeah. And that was did the fact that you were in a country market like that, did that influence your sound at all?
Well, Hurt, because when I co-wrote Hurt and I told the songwriter the story that I wanted to write about, he is a country songwriter. Right. But he knows how to write rock songs as well. But I told him I wanted a Bon Jovi influence in that song. So he put a tint of country in it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I asked you, because there was the sound just has that possibility that, hey, might have been a little influence other than just plain rock in there. And that's interesting too, because that's really how artists develop their own style, is by experimenting and feeling all the styles, and then settling on the one that's comfortable for you, or the blend that makes your sound. What have you got planned here in the future? I know you're working on trying to get on some festivals this summer.